Sometimes when I'm thinking about us, before we got lost and we parted, back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight. This time we're not safe and sound, not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. Sometimes when I'm reasoning about us, I know you got me, it's so effortless. Back to back we would carry on and we'd do anything for what we started. But this time we could break. I'm running dry, everything's the same. We'll try tonight. This time we're not safe and sound, not safe and sound. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? Yeah. What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me? What if I'm no good for you? What if you're no good for me?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. It is time. It is time to get all the news that's fit to know with JB and ItsBlunty. How you doing this evening, Blunty?
Good, Joshua. How's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I got a speeding ticket today.
Oh, I didn't know about that. That's no
Yeah.
good.
I posted about it on my Instagram. Posted a picture of my speeding ticket. I was doing. Want to guess how fast I was going over?
I hope it wasn't bad.
I mean, you're just gonna pick a random number. It was
13.
17 over.
Oh, okay.
It was 12 over until I drove into the small town where the speed limit suddenly went zoom. And right behind that 45-mile-an-hour sign, there was a cop. And I drove past and I was like, "Oh, the lights are on. Oh, it's my day." So
17 over in a 45 is not the same as 17 over in a 30. So
I
definitely
mean,
much better.
it's true because actually another mile down the road it went down to 35.
Oh.
So I mean, I probably would have just gone. Oh, I'm going too fast. Like if you're doing 55 in a 45, do you really even notice? I'm okay. I'm a bad person. But I probably would have noticed if I was doing 55 in a 35. But
EDoc says that's 27 in metric.
so that I'm very pleased though because wherever this little town was where I was driving, the tickets are very technologically advanced. The price of the ticket is right there on the ticket, and I can pay right on the website. $175.
Oh.
Anyway, so that's what I did today. But how was your day? What'd you do today?
Good. Collected the news, troubleshot some drones. You know how it goes. Other day.
Oh, that's what you did today. You did actual work. Well, let's not keep the people waiting. What kind of topics are we going to cover on the news today, folks? Blunty?
All right, so today we're going to talk about Fat Shark. It's committing to a hard push on Shark Byte, and they're going to have consistent responses about progress. They promised a timeline, so yeah, we'll talk about that and why that
Okay.
might be exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
Matek has a new flight controller with the GPS integrated in it. Talk about why that's pretty cool and might not be for quadcopters, but I think it is neat nonetheless. Express LRS is back in the news, as they are often these days.
And
With the
probably
2.0
going to be more going forward.
Yeah,
They're
to be
so
honest.
hot right now.
Yeah. They've got a 2.4 gigahertz design for a 10 by 10 receiver, which is pretty awesome. And they've got some ceramic antennas on that and a new Nano with ceramic antennas. So we'll talk about what ceramic antennas bring you, why you'd want one, and that sort of thing.
Stick around for that, because when Armando, I'm in a group chat with Armando and some other folks, and he was like, "Oh, ceramic antennas are the best." I'm like, "What are you talking?" He showed me some pictures, and I was like, "Really? You're gonna want to hear about that."
Yeah, Alessandro has really been on that stuff. So.
Alessandro. I said Armando. Sorry about that. Alessandro.
ImmersionRC has a new Ghost Hybrid that combines the Ghost RX and Tramp and a 20 millimeter board, so that's pretty cool. WeBleed FPV is putting on a Whoop Series. I'd like to talk about that and Velocidrone and how you might join in and win some money for qualifying. So that's pretty cool.
WeBleed FPV is that company that makes they actually gave away some race gates, some Cinewhoop race gates. These really cool light up race gates, and the guy is just really passionate about Cinewhoop racing. He emailed me. He was like, "Hey, I'm starting a racing league, so we help promote it." I'm like, "Yeah, sounds good."
That's Jeff Grabowski. Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. I actually have a set of those gates. I'll have a review on those hopefully the next week or so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We'll talk about some anti-drone stuff at airports. The FAA is testing some anti-drone equipment, and there's some other anti-drone equipment on the market, so we'll kind of bring you up to speed on that.
Yeah.
We've got a cool documentary, How I Flew FPV in the 80s, which is about a guy called Larry that flew FPV back in the 1980s. And I think that's super cool.
I actually hadn't seen this. I haven't seen it before you told me about it in the prep for this show, and I can only guess. I'm gonna guess he was flying a collective pitch helicopter, and I don't even know where to begin with the video link. So I'm looking forward to that.
We'll talk about some Google Trends data. Shocking everyone, including me, FPV is launched to the top recently.
Oh, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. You got to stick around to find out. How did the DJI FPV launch affect public perception of FPV? Probably didn't have any effect. Don't stick around.
There was a Cinewhoop on TV to over 1 million people, so I thought that was pretty cool. We'll show that little clip what we can, and then we'll end it with some Chinese drone challenges. I think these are really neat. This is kind of a different take on the drone racing and competing aspect.
So have you guys ever? I'm going to tease it a little bit because we try to put like a really good fun thing last in the show, so you stick around and watch the show, and then YouTube is happy with us. Have you guys ever seen like those Japanese game shows where they make people do wacky challenges? Well, there's this Chinese game show that does that with FPV drones. That's the gist of it. Anyway, I do not have a naked man on. Well, I kind of do have a naked man on my shirt. This is, but not for no reason. This is the FPV Flight Club shirt. FPV Flight Club, unfortunately, has gone out of business. But I had seen these shirts around and thought that was a really cool design. That's from Fight Club, Tyler Durden. But they've put a FPV goggle on him. And so FPV Flight Club, that was their shirt. I never knew where they came from until they were going out of business. And I was like, oh, I love that shirt.
I believe you've broken the first rule of Flight Club.
Don't talk about it. Well, you can't put it on a shirt. Many people talking about getting pulled over, going too fast, and getting a break. Unfortunately, I think when you're driving a Mustang, you're less likely to get a break. Unless you just luck out and get a gearhead who's like, okay, rev it for me. All right, get out of here, you scam. But I did not. That is not how it went. So anyway, yeah. All right. So let's get into it.
So let's talk about the first story. So Fat Shark has put out a statement that they're committing to a hard push on Shark Byte. They're 100% committed. This is their whole thing. They're pushing digital. And every 2 weeks from now on, they're going to give us a timeline where they're going to take all the feedback that they're getting from their email. They're asking for direct feedback to their email, whether you like it or whether you don't. If you like it, they also definitely want to hear from you to know why you like it, so you don't break anything. But they're trying to find out everything you want. And every 2 weeks, they're committing to go into a big production meeting, decide which of the things they need to do, and come back out of it and tell you what's going to happen and where they're at with things, which I think is really cool. If they can pull this off, if they continue to do this and show this, I think this will be great for the industry, and this will be great for their product.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the big question, is whether or not they stick with it. But I read this message and I was really, I guess encouraged is the word. Like, sometimes it feels like Fat Shark doesn't really love their products and isn't really. You ever seen the Gordon Ramsay cooking shows, and Gordon will take the chef of the failing restaurant and he'll say, "You've lost your passion. You need to rekindle your passion for cooking." And sometimes it felt to me like Fat Shark felt that way about some of their products. Like, yeah, we're making a pretty good goggle, but they're not like, we got to make a good goggle. And I wondered whether Shark Byte was going to go that direction. And seeing this, it felt like they were like, we are going to freaking do this. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what they needed to do. I think this is the way to go, especially with some of the public drama that was out in the last few weeks and some of the rumors that were going around. I think this is the way to handle it. You know, you get in front of people, you tell them, here's what we're going to do. Here's how committed we are. Here's where the product's going to move forward. And we're going to let you know how it's going to happen. And you're going to be a part of it. This is exactly what any consumer wants to hear about a product that they're passionate about or that they want to be passionate about. You know, at this point, you know, I own DJI goggles and a pair of FXT Vipers. Like, those are my two goggles. So,
FXT Vipers are good goggles.
They are, but like, if I'm going to go to Shark Byte, I'm probably going to buy like a real goggle. And I would consider moving to like a real Fat Shark goggle and buying Shark Byte if they do this commitment well. You know, if 2 months down the line, we see multiple updates, promises of things that have been showing up, we see improvements in firmware, we see smaller VTXs, and, you know, like anything like that, I think this is just like, I think it'll push a lot of people into that ecosystem that might not have otherwise done that.
Josh Fisk points out TBS does like 3 live streams a week. Absolutely. TBS, there are many things to like about TBS as a company. And one of the things is they make good gear. Like, that's just a fact. But one of the things is how in touch they are with their users. And they really know how to just keep you in the loop about what's going on. And they usually play it pretty straight. And people really like that. I really like feeling like it's one of the reasons why I'm less enthusiastic about some of the closed source hardware like Flight 1 and KISS. Just because I like feeling like I'm in the room. Even if I don't freaking, like, how often am I on the Betaflight GitHub? Not that often. I just like feeling like I can be in the room if I want to be.
Yeah. Hey, you know, one of the things that I really like to do with Betaflight stuff is, how did this become this way? And if you want to know, you can know. You can go back through our C groups threads, you can go back through GitHub, you can go back through pull requests, and you can dig out the story. You can find out where it came from and who made it and who built it and where the original code came from, and get an idea of like where they're at and why they made those decisions. But you can't do that with a more closed source software. And I think that's definitely one of the benefits for people, for sure.
Yeah. I like that they said, one of the things they said was that they would be, for our first update, the DisplayPort bug in Betaflight has been fixed to properly enable canvas mode. If I understand that correctly, that means that their Shark Byte is going to have full support for the full Betaflight OSD. Is that how you read that?
Yeah, that's how I read that as well. Yeah, they'll basically be full access to the screen. You know, that's kind of the thing that they're talking about. DJI doesn't want to do, is give somebody rights to draw all over the screen whatever they want. You know, Shark Byte, I would assume, is not worried about that in the same way, and they just want to support the users. And if that's the case, then again, that's another great push for users. So
I've been saying that the way that you can't beat a Goliath like DJI at their own game unless you are, like, when you've got Google versus Apple, now you have 2 giants who can clash. But if you've got Fat Shark versus DJI, you can't beat them at their own game. You have to do things that they won't or can't do. And like for whatever reason, DJI will not do the full MSP DisplayPort canvas mode that would let the flight controller draw the menu and the OSD on screen. And I think some of that is that they just don't want some stupid frickin' open source flight controller to be able to screw up their curated user experience. But Fat Shark will do it. That's pretty slick.
Yeah. I'm going to call a bit of an audible here. I have a story that I forgot to put in here, but I just want to discuss real quick. And that is, and I'm sure other people want to hear about it. And that's going to be, I just want to quickly review the last week in DJI FPV drone. I know we've done a lot of DJI FPV stories.
Okay.
But I want to talk a little bit about the issues that people had with the firmware and the shakebacks and stuff. I'm just going to take like 2 minutes to go over it.
No problem.
Because I think it's important.
I'm going to put it in the description. Go ahead. We closing out the Fat Shark thing now?
Yeah, I think we're good on that. I think I think it's just about, do we want to see it? We need to see what they're going to do. We need to see if they're going to, show us that. So,
all right.
As far as DJI, in the last week we had the DJI FPV drone launch, and unfortunately, what we saw happen was there were sets of V2 goggles out in the wild that were not paired with the DJI drone. They just came alone as the V2 goggle, and those goggles had the wrong firmware on them. They had a drone firmware on them. And unfortunately, the goggles that came with a drone firmware on them needed to be activated. So unfortunately, because those goggles needed to be activated with a drone, they could not be activated. And so for days, there were people sitting with V2s that could not actively use those V2s. And so eventually, back and forth, and I did a lot of research into this, and I know you sent some of that info over to reps that you had about this issue. And I believe it was about 3 days plus that we got a response finally from a rep that gave us a guide for rolling back a firmware on those goggles. Correct. And that was actually missing a step. I troubleshooted with the rep to figure out what step that was missing. So we added a step, and then we got that out to people. The biggest issue is that I just think there's that delay in communication. And that's the kind of thing I hope we see Fat Shark not have. Basically the fix for this, and it's still not a real fix, is the fix was people have to roll back to a 0.05 firmware. They then have to go into a goggle menu that was missing in the 1.01 firmware to move over to the other mode, the normal FPV mode, to activate their goggles without a drone.
Yep.
And that's just like a huge oversight, and maybe they sent out the wrong SKUs and had the wrong firmware on something or whatever. But the fact that instead of pushing a new update, we had to have a private login to an assistant account to get a rollback firmware that had to be shared on social media and in Discord. It's just there's a lot of disconnect there between users and the company. And hopefully, again, like this is why the promise of Fat Shark thing is so good for me, because as great as DJI is and as revolutionary as the product is, if we can see Shark Byte be for us and constantly be changing and evolving and in 12 hours or 10 hours fix this problem instead of in 4 days or catch this in QC before it comes out, that's the kind of difference I hope to see. So
Stephen Yu in the Discord asks a very apt question. He says, are you making the same mistake with Fat Shark as you did with DJI? And what he means by that is DJI said we are going to have the USB video out in the V2 goggles. I said, oh good, that's so exciting. And then it turned out what they meant was only with the DJI drone, not with the air unit. Nah. And I was like, I will never trust DJI again when they say that they're releasing, where they say something they're going to do with their product in the future. I will believe it when I see it. And I've heard that from other people who have were DJI customers for years. And they're like, now welcome to the club. You've now been burned by DJI saying they were going to do something and kind of not doing it. Okay, so fine. Am I doing the same thing with Fat Shark? Fat Shark says we're going to enable canvas mode. Am I just taking them at their word? That's a fair point. I think it's a little, like, I hope that we can trust Fat Shark a little more, that if they say this is coming in this update, that is a very specific statement. And it doesn't mean they're going to necessarily live up to it. No, that's true. I hope that they live up to it. But I guess you're right. We maybe don't take it to the bank quite yet.
The other thing I'd say is in this situation, they can see the exact statement from Fat Shark, and this went out to the public. So you're not having to interpret something, or there's not like a hearsay or whatever. We're presenting to them, to everyone, to you guys, what it is, and you guys have to take that at the value you can take that for.
Yeah. So that's exciting. That's exciting. This is a thing that Fat Shark can do, and Fat Shark has been good at this in the past, and I hope that they will be good at it again, because ultimate performance is not the only thing that I care about in a product. I will give up some performance if it means I get other things, and responsiveness is one of them. Responsiveness in design and so forth. So, awesome. All right, let's move on. We're going to go over some products that are coming out that are particularly interesting. And the first one, Blunty, this confuses me. This very much confuses me. I want to just show this product. Let's not tell them what it is. Well, they can go look at the show notes and the links. But take a look at this product. It's GPS. No, it's a flight controller. It's both. It's a freaking flight controller with a GPS built into it. Why is this? Why am I making a face right now?
Well, I think the most obvious thing is, to just the fact that, if you're putting this in a quad, there's going to be carbon over it most of the time. And if there's carbon over it, that means you're going to have issues with the GPS signal. Most likely this is meant for the wing crowd or the plane crowd, where you're going to have it a little more exposed. But I still think this is pretty interesting. It's a 405 with 4 UARTs. It's all nice all-in-one compact design. Maybe if you've only got TPU over it, you're fine, depending on your build and stuff.
There's more to it than that. And the thing is,
That's
Matek makes it one of the best GPS units for FPV is the Matek. So Matek knows how to make a good GPS unit. And so I kind of want to reserve judgment because I don't think they would do something like dumb. But one of the problems with GPS is that you've got all this electrical interference from the processor, for example, from the voltage regulators and so forth. And putting the GPS right, even if it has clear view of the sky, because it's like in a wing, putting it right next to the processor and stuff seems like, how good could it work? I mean,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully Matek knows what they're doing with this. But yeah, it's definitely the first one I've ever seen. So I think they're,
Yeah. I would love to see something like I like the idea of integrating things into the flight controller. Put the compass on board. Well, the compass could also benefit from being off the flight controller for the same reason, frankly. Put the barometer on. I don't know. I like seeing things integrated, but why doesn't this have like a UFL connector to an external antenna? I don't know.
Sure.
Fraser Steen says the ground plane would share the ground with the flight controller and shield it effectively. To some degree, that's true, but I mean, there's only so much you can do in proximity like that. So that's a pretty interesting product. I would love to hear more field tests about how that actually works. But I don't think it's going to be for quadcopters because you put a carbon fiber plate over it and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So
most
that's
likely
going to be a no. All right. With it having
right.
CAN bus, Mr. Huggy says it looks like with it having CAN bus on board, it looks like it's more for Arducopter.
Yeah, it has an Ardu pilot and an iNav target already. So, but I'm not too familiar with CAN bus.
How are you going to mount it in a freaking multi-rotor and have it have a clear view of the sky? I don't know. All right. Well, Matek maybe knows something I'm sure they do know things we don't know. I'd love to hear more about how that works in practice. Okay.
Express LRS is back in the news. We've got a 10 by 10 board design coming out now. I think this is pretty cool. This is basically, I think we're getting about as small as you can get. This design is
the damn thing.
Yeah, this design is down to 0.42 grams. Yeah, I mean, it's just pretty neat, man. And these are using ceramic antennas. So if you, there's basically a 10 by 10, and then there's also a Nano. And both of them are using the new ceramic antenna design style.
I got a picture. I finally got, this is from the GitHub.
Yeah, so that's the Nano. There's another link to the 10 by 10 GitHub that also shows the 10 by 10. It just
gotcha. Is this the antenna right here? This thingy here?
Yeah, that little box. Yeah.
Wow. So that's the whole 900 megahertz antenna instead of this big long whip antenna that you would often have. 2.4 gig. My bad.
Yeah, these are 2.4. But yeah, I've also got a link in there for the for a flight test on these to show LQ comparisons. They're pretty close, especially in short proximity. So it seems like, especially for racers, or especially for people who are trying to shave weight, already, we looked at some testing that showed, on 250 hertz on 100 milliwatts or whatever, they were getting out to, 33 kilometers with 90% LQ or something like that. So I don't think you're going to lose a ton by doing these ceramics. In the testing I'm seeing here on the videos, like 87 versus like 80 on the LQ, which isn't bad at all. Well,
that's the thing. Sorry, I interrupted you there. That's the thing. Express LRS has insane range. It uses very small packets, and as a result, it can be tuned for much greater range, even at the same output power. So even if the guy, Wesley is a guy on YouTube. I don't remember his last name. He's doing some range testing, and he went out as far as his wing could fly, 30 plus kilometers, and had to turn around and come home, and was still at like 99% LQ. At that point, if this tiny ceramic antenna is, let's say it's 15% less effective, less range, who cares?
Yeah. It's a 3 dBi gain antenna with a negative 9 dB return loss. So I'm not sure how that all works out. A pretty neat little thing. I've also got a DigiKey link there too, if you want to see the actual antenna.
Okay. And one thing to keep in mind, though, is that mounting this is going to be mounted presumably inside the frame. So mounting it inside the frame means that you're going to have more obstructions. So that's going to certainly affect the coverage pattern, if nothing else, as opposed to having it mounted sort of outside. You still get some of that, though, like when you turn to face yourself. There's definitely going to be places where, to me, the big advantage seems to be the durability. Like, you're not going to have any antenna to get chopped.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, weight and durability are definitely paramount.
Bamboozle in the Discord wants to know if it's fragile. I don't know about that. I mean, if you were to hit it with a hammer.
I was going to say, the way it's mounted, I think you'd have to, the receiver would need to come free and bash something, So I think you've got bigger issues at that point.
Yeah, David's ADV says, what's the range, we all ask, that don't fly more than 500 yards? Yeah, exactly. Express LRS goes pretty freaking far. So this is one of those things, when I was talking to Alessandro about the new, some people in the chat are asking, when is Joshua going to do a tutorial about how to flash Express LRS? And, I might get around to that, but I'm hoping that the market catches up with me. Full speed? No. Happy Model. Happy Model has an Express LRS module and receiver that is available on Banggood right now. It's just ready to go. You just buy it. It's just a clone of the FreeSky R9 receiver, though. And that actually is something that Alessandro was annoyed about. He was like, I wish they would do something cool, like use a ceramic antenna. But they just cloned the R9 receiver. But if you want Express LRS and you don't want to have to flash it, you can go buy that. It's on Banggood right now, I think it's available. So.
Mr. Tux, just to clear up, Mr. Tux says, wait, so that receiver doesn't need any external antennas, no antenna stick out, no antenna that's get cut off. Now, what you're seeing in those images is it. And that little tiny square box is the antenna. That whole receiver is there together, good to go with whatever signal you would expect to get from it.
Yeah, that's the antenna right there. That's it.
Yeah, that's the benefit here.
That's a big deal, huh?
So here's a good question. I've seen this a couple times, and I'd love to know your opinion. Fraser Steen in chat says, brands not to trust with a long-range setup. Happy Model. How do you feel about these companies as they produce these pieces of equipment? We're trusting them as long-range links.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to decide whether that's a good idea or not.
I'm gonna answer that question, but I just saw XJet pop up in the chat. It's always good to have him come around. Nice to have you here, XJet. Hope you're doing well. So right. I totally Happy Model, Mobula 6. Can we agree the Mobula 6 is a really good freaking tiny whoop? Can we also agree that some people's Mobula 6 just sort of fried on the first plugin for no reason? And that's just kind of a risky take with Happy Model? Yeah. And maybe you don't want to do that with your long range link?
Yeah, there definitely are some known issues, and I think Yeah, I mean, what the Mobio 6 came out with that issue where if it dropped under 3 volts, it lost configuration. Are they going to forget to add some resistor or something that does the same thing, with your long range link? It's just, it is kind of scary to consider that.
Yeah. So say what you will about FreeSky, they do make good hardware. They generally make pretty solid hardware. So if you do want to do Express LRS and you want to feel the best about the sort of safety of your link and your hardware, then buy a FreeSky. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. Buy a FreeSky and flash Express LRS to it. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to use it not for long range, but just for a high performance regular range link. And I think they're probably going to do okay. Mostly.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's a valid point though. Awesome. Let's see here. In continuing with the discussion of long range control links and so forth. Smooth segue. Continuing with that. This is the new ImmersionRC Ghost Hybrid. And I am not sure. I think that this is, they're talking about it over on the ImmersionRC Facebook group like this is just the only way to build from now on. And I think that's going to be true for some people. So what this is it's a Ghost receiver and a Tramp video transmitter on one 20mm board. Weighs about 2.5 grams or something. That's pretty slick. What do you think of it, Blunty? Would you use this?
I think the form factor is the problem for me. I get where they're going with this, and I think this works, like you said, for some people. But to me, I think the form factor just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. There's not a lot of times where I would want to add this little board into a build and find a spot for it versus just sticking in a receiver and a VTX somewhere. And also, that's what I would say.
You say find a spot for it, but how hard is it going to be to find a spot for it? I'm going to play devil's advocate here. How hard is it to find a spot for it? You do a 20mm mounting stack in the rear of your frame. It might be where you put your video transmitter anyway. So now you just have your receiver integrated and ready to go. Sure.
Other downsides, I guess, would be if it failed, right? So if you lost a VTX, then you've got to add another VTX as a replacement, and you've got a receiver that's a 20x20 now. Or vice versa. If something happens to a receiver, you've only got a VTX that's now 20x20, which isn't that bad, I guess, for some VTXs.
That's always the risk. That's always the risk with integration. You have a 4-in-1 ESC, you lose one ESC, now you're out the whole 4-in-1 potentially. If ImmersionRC does make pretty good hardware, generally it doesn't spontaneously die, although nothing was, everything breaks eventually. Someone in the chat says it's for racers. So how about the argument that this isn't for normal people? It's for people who want the most compact build possible.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. That definitely makes sense. And it's it's easier to get super compact too, because it's all together. Like you said, I think for certain people, will think this is a great option for them.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think, and the price is, it's $5 cheaper than buying them separately. So,
the price is fair. I think the price is very fair.
Yeah. Anyway, that's out there. If you're going to be flying Ghost and analog, just to save you some of that wiring, right? Just plug it in to your flight controller or solder it up and be ready to go.
Somebody asked if it's compatible with the wand. I think every Tramp thing is, right?
No. I'm pretty sure they took off the NFC for this one. I think so. I had a conversation with Tony about this product a couple weeks ago. I think they couldn't do both, and they decided to give up the wand for this one. You should double check before you go write angry letters, but I believe that's the case. The wand users are going to be super mad.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool feature of Tramp. So.
Yeah.
Especially at a race.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that over in Europe they use the wand all the freaking time, but then here in the USA, I can't think of a time I've seen a race organizer with a wand. So I mean, I think it just depends on where you're at. Let's see. Does it say anything about NFC? No, or wand? No, it doesn't say anything about NFC or wand. So I think what they're... Oh, here's why, though. You're using Ghost. So I think they're expecting that you're going to use the Ghost module to control the thing, and you don't need the wand anymore.
I see. You can do it through the Ghost system. Okay.
Correct. All right. What is a wand? KH. There's a NFC, a near field communication wand. Let me see if I can bring it up, I'm sure. And basically, if you have a Tramp, you can connect a little NFC antenna to it, and then you can wave this wand near the antenna, and it'll change your video transmitter settings.
I think there's also a phone app for that too.
Correct, because your phone also may have an NFC antenna. All right. That's pretty slick. We got some whoop racing and whoop competition coming up now. Blunty, where should we start?
We're going to talk about the WeBleed FPV Whoop Series by Jeff Grabowski. He is putting on a Whoop Series for people. Right now they've got 7 sponsors. They're not listed on that page yet, but they are up to $1,372 in the prize pool. And basically this is a 7-team competition where you go into Velocidrone, you go in and compete in these tracks. There's 3 different tracks to qualify on, and you have like 6 weeks to do it until Friday, April the 9th. So there's about 4 more weeks left. And you're basically grinding up those 3 tracks. They'll average out your times. And if you can get in the top 42, you go into a draft. You pay $10 in the draft, and you get drafted into one of the 7 captains' teams that are the top 7 pilots. And then you'll compete over the next 8 weeks of racing to a championship where everybody still gets to compete in the championship. And if you come out of the championship on top, you get some of the money. So last year, I think our team came in 3rd place. And we got, I think it was $40 or $60 each in PayPal, something like that. So
yeah,
neat.
Cool. Very, very neat. Like we were saying earlier, Jeff Grabowski, WeBleed FPV, makes good whoopgate and is a good guy. And so if you're interested in having a chance to win some money, let's see,
from your own home?
From your own home. Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Is it's racing in person these days is a little tricky for some people. And the ability to race from anywhere in the world, super exciting. So I'd love to see all these virtual races. I mean, I was sad that DRL had to go virtual because, like, really the appeal of DRL is being in those big stadiums. But I love the fact that we're seeing so many virtual series out there that everybody can participate in. Super exciting. So there's a link to that down in the video description in the show notes if you want to get this very same document, and you can participate.
Yeah, I am currently in 13th place on the leaderboard. So if you guys want to, try to catch up to me, compete with somebody.
Knock him down.
Yeah.
Up with you. I should put some laps in and see how bad I am. I mean,
it's a lot of fun.
We know that I speed in my car, but how fast am I on a tiny whoop?
Yeah.
Before we get to the next one, let me get there's a couple super chats that came in. Let me just get them out of the way. Thank you, Isaac Mitchell, for a $2 super chat. Love what you guys are doing, trying to support. Thank you so much. And Joe before Eiley, thanks for £10 to help pay my speeding ticket. Appreciate that. So from a new Tiny Whoop virtual racing series to the International Game of Whoop. And I want to start this segment by just telling people, if you don't know about the International Game of Whoop, IGOW, like the game of quad, right? Where you do a trick and the other guy does a trick, and it's like horse on the basketball court, but you all know what quad is, right? Well, International Game of Whoop is a remote game of tiny whoop, of whoop. It's quad with tiny whoops done all around the world. Basically, they set a trick. The organizers set a trick each week, and then everybody who's participating submits a video where they do the trick. And if you don't succeed at doing the trick, then you're out. And then if everybody succeeds in doing the trick, there's another criteria that they use to eliminate a certain number of people each week. And they do it in brackets. And they started this. What week are they in now, Blunty?
So this is week 31 of this IGOW 2. So this is the second IGOW. We're in week 31. We have 5 pilots left. So yeah,
How many weeks did they go last year? Do you remember?
it's like 50 something.
like
It was a lot. It was
they were playing this game of Whoop for almost the whole year, because what happens is by the end, the last 5 pilots are so stupidly good that they like can't eliminate them, right? And so they just keep doing crazier and crazier stuff. Yeah.
This week, Daylight FPV, the front runner who had a clean slate up to this week, got his first W, his first letter of the series, and it's only because he messed up the challenge and did not realize what he was supposed to do correctly and missed a turn.
Gotcha.
So he is, there's some really good guys in this series that they're competing against.
I'm gonna play a little bit of video here. This is the live stream. They live stream the challenges. This week they challenged the pilots. Let me see if I can find a place where on camera. They challenged them to fly and do this trick with one hand. One hand.
For about 1348, somewhere in there.
Yeah, like right around here. So check this out. You see this guy's flying with his thumb and his middle finger, right? Oh, we don't want any music. No, we can't have that. What was the trick? I think it was a power loop.
Yeah, they basically had to go through the gates one way and then go through the gates the other way and then power loop back over the gates.
I can't freaking believe this. Somewhere out there, there's a one-handed Whoop pilot who's like, "What? I fly like this all the time. What's your problem?"
Yeah, and four out of 5 of them made it.
Crazy.
Pretty crazy.
Oh my gosh. So there's a link to this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's insane. That's insane. He didn't get it. He did have to bail out. Do you get a good? Do you get a do-over?
Yeah, you get a couple tries on that. So.
Oh. So there's a link to this live stream down in the video description. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Blunty.
This is a fun series. They've done this twice now, and I'm sure they'll do another one. This is put on by FPV Skittles. That's Daniel Sogano. And yeah, they've got a couple sponsors for this, so they've got some prizes if you make it, and they've been giving out random prizes over the weeks to different pilots who compete and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, there's prizes. I actually sponsored a prize for this one. Here we got someone with a TX16S flying one-handed again. Well, they had to fly one-handed. So who knows what they're going to come up with for next week. Or maybe next week's already out, we know. But, I mean, how do you raise the bar from this stupid... Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You got to come up with some crazy stuff to get them to whoop out, you know?
Yeah. It makes me want to try it a little bit. A little bit.
I was very impressed by how many people were able to do it. I thought it was going to be way harder. So, yeah.
It's insane. So very, very cool. When I first heard about this, I didn't really understand what they were trying to do. And now that I understand what they're trying to do, I'm even more impressed. These guys, Jesse Perkins, as you can see, was on the live stream, Mr. Tiny Whoop. It just shows why Tiny Whoop culture is so great. I mean, even if you don't love flying tiny whoops, you should love flying tiny whoops with other people. It's so great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Well, from drone to anti-drone, move on to the other side of things. So we're talking about a couple of different things in the anti-drone world. There's SeaTac Airport is testing.
Well, for the first time,
basically,
we are hearing
the FAA has decided to choose some airports to work on drone detection and mitigation equipment. And they picked this airport to start with, but they're using like foreign object debris detection. So basically, the stuff they use to clear the runways, they're using the same thing to start to use algorithms to identify when it's actually like a bird or a drone. And they have separate systems for birds, so they're thinking maybe either they'll be able to tailor one of these two systems for them, or they'll end up developing some other like thing that's ancillary to each of those. But they're basically trying to figure out how can we keep these drones away from airports that they think is such a big deal. So, and this is an example of one that they found last year in December in Seattle, Tacoma. And this is kind of what brought it about.
Stop with the audio. Stop playing audio. Sorry, Blunty. It's trying to. I don't know if you can hear that. It's playing audio on the stream.
Let's address it right now. He was not shushing me. He was shushing me.
Oh shit! I've done it again. I shushed my computer. That's the second time. Yeah, the news site started playing audio. I was like, "Shut up! Oh my god, shut up, Blunty!" All right, no more scandals, please.
But yeah, so that is a program that they're developing. They're doing a few different airports. So you could look for that. That it will develop. Right now, it's just detection, so they know when it's going to happen and they can clear the runway, make sure no planes are around and stuff. If some people make mistakes like they had before, but we're kind of going to move on to that from a little bit different of a thing. So instead of just this little bit of detection, we've actually got active mitigation. And so there's a company called Drone Shield that's been producing stuff for a while. I've got, one of their products featured here called the Drone Gun Mark III, but there's a bunch of different ones. And essentially the idea is just, it's just a jammer. They're jamming with a bunch of different signals and GPS to get the drone to land automatically or fall out of the sky if it's going to fail safe, like one of our drones.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting to know this exists,
Certainly one aspect of this that has to be mentioned is that it is not in any way legal for consumers and average civilian citizens to use this. Intentionally jamming, at least in the United States, is explicitly forbidden.
Yes.
Even if you're like sometimes people would say, well, what if I was like the 2.4 gigahertz band? It's unlicensed, right? You could do whatever you want. So I'm going to jam it. No, intentionally jamming is explicitly forbidden. But government agencies, military, law enforcement, so forth, obviously that doesn't apply to them. So that's pretty slick.
Yeah, and there's one more on that list. If you want to click on the drone cannon RW, I thought that was another interesting concept.
Where is that? Is that on the?
That's on that same page on the left there.
The drone cannon, huh? Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is it? There we go. Drone cannon RW.
So this is kind of I just think this is interesting to see where their head is at with stuff. Because basically, this is essentially that drone gun on a cannon. So it uses the drone gun to get the drone to stop with the blocking, and then it shoots it out of the sky with a kinetic weapon.
That's interesting because people have talked about how it's very difficult to take drones out with a kinetic weapon, just because tracking them is very difficult. But and they've talked about how jamming doesn't actually necessarily stop them from operating. You could jam them and they could maybe continue to fly or something. But if you jam them, put them into failsafe and make them loiter or just confuse them for a minute, then you can back it up by shooting them down. That's really something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that maybe stuff we'll be seeing depending on legalities and where you're at. But good to know that it's out there,
Type XXI Wolf wants to know if it misses the drone, who will be hurt? Yeah, that's one of the things about jamming. Anytime you're jamming, even though that looks like a pistol or a rifle, and although it probably has a high gain antenna in it to maximize the amount of energy delivered to the drone, anytime you're jamming, you're going to jam anything nearby. RF energy, it's not like a laser. There's going to be a lot of noise. That's probably considered an acceptable risk, but it's not like a sniper that you could just shoot the drone out of the sky and not affect anything else nearby. If you're talking about who is going to be affected if you miss with the ballistic weapon, presumably these are being used places where putting rounds downrange is not a concern. Or maybe you do it with a shotgun where the pellets don't really matter. I don't know.
Yeah, you have kinetic loss over a certain distance that you know of, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, we don't know. We just thought it was kind of cool to say this stuff is out there. And it shows how people in the defense industry and law enforcement are thinking about drones. I've said that one of the reasons remote ID is being pushed is that government entities see drones as a threat, not just a potential commercial thing to milk. And this really shows where their head's at. So,
yeah.
Let's see here. Where am I going? Where are we going next?
All right. So let's talk about how Larry flew FPV in the 1980s. Again, I think this is just a really cool documentary.
Well, first of all, he flew it shortless with a mullet in shorts. because it was out of a van. Because
it's very 80s.
It's the 80s. This is the most 80s thing as I've ever seen.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is the one of the most fascinating things I think about this is done by the person in the videos, and he recorded everything as he did it. I mean, he's got footage that nobody would have had, and he was one of the earliest people to do it. That's what I think is so fascinating about it. So he used to take this to different like events and shows and stuff. He shows how he put it together. He records different crashes he had and like how he recovered from them, how he was like taking stuff from his workplace that his boss was giving him to have like RF equipment and like TV stuff. And he made, he even has like an antenna he built for automatic tracking back in the 80s.
Wow.
That would follow his plane and stuff. So he would mount on top of his van. It's really just amazing stuff.
Dickens. What antenna is that? What frequency is he using?
Yeah, that's stuff I'm not too super sure on.
What in the frickin'?
He's pioneering
What the
stuff.
frick? What antenna is that? What is he flying? Oh my gracious. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Can we get some FPV
stuff,
footage? Yeah. Here's some video footage from the plane. Unreal. 72. Mr. Huggy says it's 72 megahertz, 27 megahertz. The video? UHF, yeah. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Look at this video quality.
Yeah, and he documents the whole process, how he built everything and what he did and where he went and all that stuff. So it's just really amazing.
Well, that's an hour-long video. People can go check that out. Again, it's linked down in the video description if you want to check that out. It's always that's amazing. We've come so far.
Absolutely.
Well, for the first time, we are hearing of a drone
100%.
that landed on the runway.
Speaking of how far
SeaTac.
FPVs come.
Once again, that SeaTac video started playing audio in the background. Sorry. Blunty, go ahead.
So if we're talking about how far FPVs come, maybe we should talk about the Google Trends. So let's look at the Google Trends information for FPV over the last 5 years.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, Google Trends is a website that Google makes available to anyone where you can pick a search term and you can see how many people are searching for that term. And you can use it to gauge interest in a topic, because when people want to know about something, one of the first things they do is they go and they Google search for it. So here's what happened to the search term FPV in the last several months.
About 7 days is actually the spike. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. This is what happened. So this is starting at March 13th. And going up through September 27th, and then
this is for the past 5 years.
Oh, this is the whole 5 years. I see. I was missing the years there. I was trying to figure it out. I see.
Gotcha. Yeah. So the spike
past 5 years.
Yeah, the spike is literally just the last week of launch for the drone, the February 28th. To March 6th. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. And what it means is, like, love the DJI drone or hate it, there's no question that a whole lot of people are interested in FPV. And what are they doing? They're going to google.com, not Gmail. Sorry about that. What the frick is...
Autofill.
Oh, I see. It's auto-completing Gmail. My bad. They're going to google.com and they're typing FPV. And what are they finding? Oh, the first result is DJI. Damn you, DJI. And the second result is DJI. But the third result is Get FPV. Oh, shut the fuck. Oh, no. No, this is not what I thought, what I wanted to see. All of the results are DJI. Oh, no, it's happened. What is, oh, no. Please. Oh, please, where am I? Where's any actual FPV stuff? Oh, man. It's all DJI. Frick! This is terrible. Blunty, help me. I wanted to be like, you see? And now they're finding out about FPV. No, they're finding out about DJI. Ah!
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's where the term's going, that's for sure. It is, I don't know. I think it's just something we can, all I can say is it's happening. It's just hard to know, is this good or not? Is this good or bad? More people now know what first-person view is, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, no. This is what they said would happen, Blunty. They said DJI will come in and they'll take over. It's happening.
XJet says, I thought FPV equals DJI. It's a cipher.
That really, I did not expect that. I honestly did not expect that. All of the top search results are for DJI, except for Get FPV. Thank you. Look, DJI, DJI. Huh? Oh, no. Okay, here is an actual FPV result.
Yeah. That's
all right. Well, we'll check back in 6 months or a month because this new product has come out. Maybe it's just that this is a hot new product. Maybe it'll change. Oh, I hope it changes. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's where you wanted that story to go, but that's where it ended up.
Hey, man, it is what it is. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. So the question is, again, is that a benefit for us or not? I don't have the answer to that because at one point it may push people to realize that FPV is a thing and get in all these videos and people realize that the drone isn't the best solution for it. And then suddenly, now you need all these other real people who know how to do FPV, Yeah. So.
Sync happens 86 in the Discord says change your website to DJIKnowItAll.com. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I wonder what we'll see. I really do wonder in 2 or 3 months whether that, or maybe even just 2 weeks when the peak has passed, whether that'll still be true. We'll see. Anyway, speaking of public awareness of FPV, what is this? A Cinewhoop? 1 million people watching a Cinewhoop. What is this?
Yeah, this is on, I believe, it's hard for me to get the full information, but I believe it was an Italian nightly show, on one of their big public channels. So over 1 million people were watching this on a normal show. And it's a guy flying DJI with a Cinewhoop, popping balloons and stuff for a challenge on the show. But I thought it was pretty cool to see, just that publicity getting out there. More people realize on that FPV is a thing and these drones are real. So.
Now, did this guy? Do you know anything about this bit? Clearly, this is just not just some contestant who they were like, "Oh, hey, why don't you go pop these drones?" No, he's a drone pilot.
No, and they actually talk about
his skill.
Yeah, and they go over how he does it and how he builds them and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I don't want to show too much of the footage because I don't want to risk a copy strike. But they show him flying a Cinewhoop around his house and stuff. That's pretty slick. It's getting out into the mainstream. I saw
slowly but surely.
I saw some footage of Gab 707, who was flying. Apparently, he was helping do a television broadcast of some downhill snowboarding, and he was basically chasing the snowboarders downhill, and they had some kind of, I don't know what kind of video link they were using, but they were basically broadcasting high def footage from his drone. That was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. Justin Bieber's music video just had, we didn't put that in the show notes, but that's just something to know. Justin Bieber's new video just had a FPV shot in it, a couple FPV shots. So it's definitely getting out there.
Prince Cord points out that I was logged in to my account. That maybe if I open an incognito window, I'll get different results. We're going to move on, but I'm going to just at least check. No, it's look at that. FPV FC. No, that's an ad. Both of those are placed.
That's still some really good SEO even on the ad.
Yeah, look at that. Okay. It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same. All right. Well, moving on to the last item of the evening, right? Got
yes.
One more. Oh, wrong scene. Sorry there, Blunty.
So, this is pretty cool. I was sent this by a Discord user over in my over in my Discord, and he sent me some pretty cool, this pretty cool series from China. It's called Challenging the Impossible, and it's a show that basically, in season 5, they did a whole series on FPV, and they do these different challenges for each of the contestants, and they time them. So in the one we're seeing here, they've actually got like a wind tunnel, and they've got to fly through the little things with the wind tunnel and get past the thing at the end that's spinning around. Yeah, that sort of thing, and then hit the buzzer.
Yeah. It looks like they're having to fly through this obstacle course and then get to the end and fly back. Is there now? You've got a couple of links. Is there? I guess they're all doing the same challenge in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
so it's different parts of this is like a whole clip, but yeah. So if you go to the next one, it's basically so the next one is them actually building a bridge with their drones. So they're making a rope bridge by dragging rope with the drones, and then they're like tying off, sealing the bridge, and then they've got to go walk down the rope bridge and hit the timer, and the first one to do that is the winner.
Yeah, here goes one guy now. He's going to walk across this bridge. I've seen a demonstration where autonomous drones controlled by computer built a woven rope bridge. But these guys are hand flying. You can see they've got DJI goggles and a controller. They're hand flying, basically racing drones. He's got to walk across this freaking bridge to the other side to win. And now you picked these, Blunty. You search these out because these actually have English subs. So if you want to turn the subtitles on in YouTube, you can watch these episodes.
Yeah. It's just also pretty cool because it's like, there's a lot of drama to it. That sometimes they'll crash and everybody will gasp and they'll do shots of each person with dramatic music until they see the guy turtle over, stuff like that. Stuff you definitely wouldn't see from drones. But this is another example this is the smoke section of an obstacle course they're in. They have to get through the smoke and dodge the lasers. And if they hit a laser, they've got to restart the section.
Analog this time.
Yeah, it seems like outside they do analog, inside they do DJI. I'm not sure if there's a reason for that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know DJI is good at multipathing.
Oh, he's turtling. He's trying to get back up. Look at this. This is like legit, dude. This is legit FPV. Like,
yeah, it's real. Like that's what's cool about it. It's actually them flying the drones and stuff, and they're having to like use skills. It's pretty neat. They actually have a pit stop and stuff, so I'll go through a couple more sections here, and then you'll see them hit a pit stop, and they'll have one guy's actually got the guy who trained him to fly FPV swapping the battery for him at the pit stop. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Definitely different kind of thing that we get over here.
Yeah, awesome.
The other just one thing I'll say too is like the other thing they do on that is explain how it works. So like they have a little series of guys there who will explain like, oh, this is how a drone stops, and this is why they fly this way, and this is why this course is challenging and stuff like that. Yeah, just super neat. A shout out to Flame Point Vendetta. He's the one who gave me that link in my Discord. So.
Awesome, thank you, Flame Point Vendetta, for that. That's really freaking cool. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like DRL racing for bringing drone racing and FPV to the mainstream audience. But not everybody is up for racing. And it's really cool to see other kinds of challenges integrating drones. The challenge, of course, is finding pilots who can fly, which there are only so many of them out there. But I guess they made it work. It's pretty freaking cool.
Yes, absolutely.
I have an idea for a show. I pitched this to Chad Capper years ago. And it's never going to get made. My idea for a show was a reality show. Like the reality shows where they take a whole bunch of people and they stick them in a house. And then they have to live in the house. And then they get on each other's nerves. I want to do that with FPV personalities. So you pick a bunch of people, Bach Grinder, Ladrib, Steele, a bunch of people who will get along and also get on each other's nerves. You put them all in a house. Every week you have challenges, Yeah. And also there's a whole bunch of interpersonal drama. Wouldn't that be?
It would definitely be something, that's for sure.
It's never going to get made. You need producers who know how to make that kind of content, and I don't know anybody who is. Who are we supposed to be promoting, Voyager? Who are we supposed to be promoting who's not a Chinese company? I didn't see who you're making fun of us for. Go ahead, Monty.
I think they were saying that all the Fat Shark stuff was blurred out on that Chinese video.
Oh, I see. It's not us. It's all
Yeah.
yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well, Fat Shark's not a Chinese company. They're based in Shenzhen.
So I'm gonna call one more audible. There's a video going around that I didn't put on the show notes, but I put it in our show notes just now for you to pull up.
Oh yeah, I know this one. I'll pull it up.
Yeah. Yeah, this is everybody's talking about this one. This is pretty cool. So this is a single shot some guy did for a drone bowling alley. Or for a bowling alley with a drone, but it is, I'm going to tell you, pretty impressive shot, man. This guy is a good pilot.
So the link to this is in the show notes. Definitely go give some love to the pilot. It's a 1:28 sequence, and we're probably just going to show the whole thing. So I don't want to feel like I'm stealing his content. Definitely go show some love to the pilot here. What's his name, Blunty? Do you have it handy?
This is posted by Tyler's Cochran. I believe that's who this is.
Tyler's
I can get it.
Ooh. This guy's really cooking. A lot of times the Cinewhoop shots, they're not moving too fast. This guy's really cooking.
That's what's so cool about this series. Is this is like, and if you see, like, all the shots are set up, so he's got like people ready to do action shots. Like, it's very well produced.
Oh yeah, this is all planned. These guys rolling balls. This is all planned. The whole shot from start to finish is planned out. Because I saw Nurk set one of these up for a Rotor Ride episode, and you really
MK says this is Jaybird FPV with a Y, Jaybird.
Well, there's a link to this post on Reddit down in the video description. Definitely. Oh my gosh! Wow, this is a great little one take. I mean, like, really, no room to mess up.
Yeah, and then the end is just
What? No, shut up! Oh,
yeah.
I love it. I'm gonna guess that guy didn't actually throw that ball. What do you think? You think this guy is faking?
Yeah, that's probably a fake. Yeah, it's just they didn't ruin the drone.
That's really good. That's a really good shot. Wow. Well, Jaybird FPV, that is amazing. Whatever the client paid you for that, they got a great. They didn't pay you enough. That was a great shot. Makes me want to go there.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. How many takes do you think it took? Or it says Orga A. What do you think, Blint? I mean, there's no way to guess.
Yeah. No, there's no way to guess. It's got to be a lot, though.
I got to say, I'm going to disagree. Here's why I say that. Like, you got all these extras, all these people, whatever you want to call them, standing around. And, like, you don't want to keep them standing around for hours and hours while you screw up the shot. I've heard people like Nurk or Tommy say that one of the things, or Stan FPV, when I interviewed Stan, he talked about this, that one of the things about a pro is that when it comes time to get the shot, you just need to be right where you need to be and get the shot, because you can't have the whole set waiting for you to keep crashing. So it probably took more than one take. But Kimbo says 10 to 15 takes. I don't know how he knows that. That's just maybe just a guess.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, Blunty. I had seen that going around.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have put it on the news, but I think it's a pretty cool shot.
Called a couple audibles today, but we're all good.
That's okay. Hey, you're really getting to own the show, right?
Now they know you don't choose the content.
I don't. I mean, I throw stuff your way throughout the course of the week, but for the most part, you come up with all the content for the show. So if you guys have content that you think should be on the show, email news@fpvknowitall.com. It's right down there. Email, and we'll consider putting it on the show. In addition, speaking of shows that you own, you're going to be streaming. Do you streaming tomorrow? Sometimes you stream on Wednesdays.
Maybe. We'll see what happens. But, go give me a subscription, give me a follow, that kind of stuff. Go subscribe to Joshua Bardwell just under this. If you're not somehow watching this and not subscribed, make sure you do that. Like the channel, that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Blunty, his channel's linked down below as well. And that's going to do it. That's going to do it for the show. We will see you guys back here next week, 6 p.m. with more news from the world of FPV. But for now, you guys have a good week. Thanks, Blunty. I'll see you guys next time.
Cool. Later, guys.
Bye, everybody. There we go.